So, Love Hurts, starring Quan. Sorry if the pronunciation is off there. Very good film. Very good. Nice action in there. You know, some good fight scenes. You've got a lot of kung fu, sort of, within that. Some cool sequences in there. There's a fight scene in the office, which is really particularly good, and one in the house, which is good too. It's good to see Quan in a role again, in a lead role, after Everything Everywhere All at Once, especially with the story of how he was in Goonies and was in Indiana Jones, but then his career sort of dried up. So you feel good for him that things worked out in the end. Now he's back doing these big movies again. It's a really nice underdog story. Really happy for him. So he plays Marv, who's a former hitman who's now living a nice settled life as an estate agent. He's really happy with that. But then he's thrust back into the hitman world by an ex-lover. He's a really likable lead. There's a lot of other great characters. There's a hitman team, Rennie and King. They It's funny because they feel like Tangerine and Lemon from Bullet Train, and David Leitch is actually producer on this, so it makes sense. It feels like they're the sort of counterpart to that in this film. They're really funny. It's got because they're serious about the job, but at the same time they've got that kind of bromance, friendship going on. So that's quite funny to see. The villain's good. Is Marv's brother. He's the leader of all the hitmen, and pretty cool. There's a moment where he grabs the straw of his boba tea, and it's quite thick, and boba tea it's got to suck the bubbles through, so it's really thick. He just shoves it right through the eye of Marv's boss, and that character was a really likable character because he had a good relationship with Marv, and he's got pictures of him around his house, pictures of them together on vacation, and he was really nice to him as well, especially after Marv had um, kind of settled into a new life after leaving behind the hitman stuff. So it was quite a sweet little narrative. There's a moment earlier in the film when he's sat in his office and you can see they just get on well and it's quite sweet. So then when he does die, not only is it shocking, because you didn't see that coming, it's also really sad because you did like him. Um, and it's also just a shocking visual as well, the blood pouring out the straw. So that is pretty cool, and does obviously make the character seem really cruel, and also makes you think, anything can happen now, creates an atmosphere of, unpredictability. Ultimately, nothing much more like that happens, to be honest. But it's good for atmosphere, so that's good. Rhys Darby's also in it. A really funny, lovable New Zealand actor and comedian you see everywhere in pretty much every American movie for the last like 20 years. It's always fun when he pops up. He plays sort of the accountant of the hitman who he double crosses them and spoilers, but he's pretty funny in that. Then there's Rose, who starts the whole thing off by reappearing again after she was meant to be pretending to be dead when Marv saved her, well, freed her life. But she wants to get back into normal life. She doesn't want to live in fear anymore, and she's also in love with Marv, so she starts the whole thing off again by sending letters out to the hitmen and to Marv to start shit again. Go after him, get them to go after her and Marv, so then they can settle it once for all, and she can live a normal life. And she's really badass and fearless. She's a really likable character. So Marv also has a colleague and friend who's at the real estate business, who she's a bit dissatisfied with life. She's a bit bored of her job, and she doesn't really have much passion for things. But then she meets Raven, who is set to hand in Marv, and that's where you have that cool fight scene in the office, which is really cool. But she connects to him by reading poetry he writes, and she kind of finds a kindred spirit in him and feels like he understands her through his writing. So then there's a nice little arc at the end with them, which is quite sweet. She's not in it too much, but that's quite sweet for that, especially bringing what's meant to be a bad character and kind of giving a nice little arc for them. One of the property brothers actually shows up, which really was like, you didn't see it coming. I know it's famous, but you didn't see it coming at first because you're thinking, well, this is a bit random, isn't it? It's a bit of a weird connection. But then you realised, of course, with the real estate stuff, it kind of makes sense why he would. It was really fun to see him, actually. It was really quite funny in a quite a cool little turn which you didn't see coming. It was shocking to see him there, but he was really likable and funny in it, so it was great to see that. There is a bit of clunky exposition in it where you hear the characters' thoughts in their heads, and obviously that's to propel the story forward. But it's just a bit awkward, a bit, I don't know, weirdly cringy. I don't know why. I find it a bit cringy. It's a bit cumbersome. It also is really short, actually. It's only an hour and 20, which I think would delight quite a few people, if you're watching it late and, you want to get to bed soon, but you want to watch a movie, then if it's only an hour and 20, you're quite happy with that. But for the film, in terms of the experience of the narrative and the characters, is a bit because you do grow to really like the characters, and then certain characters then which you really liked, you don't get to see as much. They don't get as much to do, and you kind of feel, wish I'd seen more of them, to be honest, because I really like them. Like the Hitman team and the Reese Darby character, those are really likable, funny characters. It would have been nice to see more of them. Not because it's so short, you don't as much. But ultimately, it's a fun and feel good film with likable characters and exciting action, so it's an enjoyable watch. Good film. Anyone who enjoyed Bullet Train, The Lost City, stuff like that, I think you would really enjoy it. So that's Love Hats.